left center field, hit a long way. Out on the run is Liriano, and he makes the catch! An amazing catch! Here comes Iyer.
Welcome to the latest episode of Sport and Pastime. I'm Prem, Panicker.
Hi, this is Faisal, Shariff, and we have an exciting lineup today. Historic things have happened this week. We have a new test captain. We have one of the youngest teams ever going to England on a 5-test series. And I can't wait to get started and discuss with Prem where this will lead to. Can it go horribly wrong, or can this be the start of something fantastic for the red ball format for Team India? Prem, I'd like you to start with your thoughts on this.
Yeah, these days you have this whole buy one, get one free. I think in that same spirit, Shubman Gill has got a captain's armband and along with it a crown of thorns. Because, see, the first thing to consider, if you've given Shubman Gill the captaincy, good luck to him. The first thing you want to consider is the last test cycle, 4 of your top 5 were Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara, and Ajinkya Rahane. 4 out of top 5 gone. So that's a huge gap to fill. It's a gap in experience, it's a gap in talent, it's a gap in, having been there, done that, all of that. That's bad enough. Then comes the fact that Gill's personal form is a question mark. You can't get away from that. I mean, a lot of the numbers that are being spoken about, for instance, nothing about the high 30s in his last 11 test innings. After the 91 in Australia, he hasn't had a significant innings at all. He's only had 1 century away from home, and that's against Bangladesh. In fact, somebody on social media, I noticed, had posted that his average in Sena countries is worse than Bhuvaneshwar Kumar's. That's a nice gotcha statistic. But the one that really worries me is, the statistic that really worries me is, if you look at the day on which various captains were appointed for the Indian Test team, the batting captains, on the day they were given the captaincy, Mohammad Azharuddin, Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, all averaged above 50. Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Saurav Ganguly, all averaged in the high 40s. Right? So of batting captains who have led India in the 90s and beyond, the last 25, 30 years, only 2 players have averaged below 40. One is MS Dhoni, who is not a pure batsman. He's a wicketkeeper batsman. The other is Shubman Gill. And Shubman Gill has a worse average even than MS Dhoni. The point is, you're taking up the captaincy when you are... And look, if we know these things, Shubman Gill lives with these things. So he will be going in feeling the pressure of needing to make runs. That is one, right? And the point about, and the reason why I brought up those averages is, look, what that means if you're averaging 40 and above when you're being given the captaincy is you are an automatic selection in the Indian team or any test team for that matter. Right? I mean, you could walk into any test team. If you're averaging 30, 35, no, you're not an automatic selection, even in this Indian team. And that is something that will be preying on Gill's mind. That is one. And like we pointed out, you're now leading a team, one of the tough tours, 5-test series is always tough. You're leading a team with 4 of your veterans in the top 5 gone. And Mohammad Shami also absent, by the way. Your swing and seam bowler, the main swing and seam bowler, is also not playing. All of that is going to be very tough. Now, there's something that I have been saying which adds to the worry that I underlined with the numbers, and that is, if you look at the way he's been getting out, is mostly getting out to in-swingers. Pitched up in-swingers. Think of what that means, right? which basically means there is a gap between your bat and pan. You're getting bowled quite a few times in this thing. Now, you know that. I mean, it's not like only the people sitting outside, the commentators, analysts, and all that know that. The batsman knows that. Typically, what happens if you start having a problem with that gap, with the ball coming in and going through the gap, is you try to play inside the first line. So you will pick the first line and you'll play inside it, right? What that does
Correct.
is it opens up your outside edge also. Because if the ball straightens from the first line or if it deviates slightly, your outside edge also comes into play, which means what you're saying is there is a batsman. We don't know where Gill will bat, whether he's open or whether he'll play three or four. But you have a batsman in the top four in away conditions with both edges vulnerable. So the first thing for Gill is to ensure that he makes runs, that he's not fighting for his place in the side. I mean, he can't fight for his place in the side, he's a captain. But
True.
he doesn't face this situation where his place itself is being questioned. And then he has to lead a team that is woefully lacking in experience.
That's true.
So honestly, if I was a friend of his, I wouldn't be congratulating him, I'd be sympathizing with him.
So, Prem, these are the numbers, these are that you've mentioned, and also, of course, the technical flaw that he has. Uh, but I'd say that, I mean, if you look at it from another way, this could go brilliantly well for India, or it could be a complete disaster if they start off on a bad note. But I think the fact that there is a young team going there who's not carrying the baggage of past defeats, or trying to be careful. This is a complete new approach that Shubman Gill and also Pant, which now, given the form that he's been in IPL and also before not having played champions, he's not really had an international outing in a while. As the leadership team, I think it gives a breath of fresh air also to this team where there are no prima donnas in the team. You remember in Jan when we spoke and those 10 commandments were put across by the BCCI. None of them were for these young boys. These young boys were actually struggling with, the prima donnas in the team, and the way the whole senior management was working out. For me, I mean, Shubman Gill has had a lot of problems. You've seen him back through, and yeah, he doesn't have good numbers, but I think he's a very strong-headed guy, and I think he'll work through this technique flaw that you just mentioned. Just the way when you see Rishabh Pant and you just see him bat, you can't believe that this guy can go and save a test or even win a test match in Australia. But he's done. There's something about these two boys that they somehow have it in them, the belief and also the ability to kind of get accustomed and climatize themselves to situations to be able to take the team forward. From that point of view, I'd look at it very positively. They've nothing to lose. If this team comes back 3-1, 3-0 from England, but they've played well as a team, he's able to get them together as a team. I think that'll be a big victory in itself in India.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. See, the thing is, as a fan, I want this team to do well for the reasons you mentioned. For the fact that, yeah, it's a young team. We might take a hit for a while. We have some tough tours coming up. I mean, our World Test Championship cycle ended by two of the toughest in England and five tests in Australia. We also have a three-test series in South Africa. So we have some very tough outings. Speaking as a fan of Indian cricket, look, it's a given. All of these guys have quit. We can't do anything about it. You can't keep crying about low experience. It has happened. Move on. So even if we take the next World Test Championship cycle to sort of settle this team down, yeah, some people will lose their spots, some others will come in. Sooner or later, we'll find the right combination, the right mix, and all of that. If it takes that, I'm not too. I'm really looking at it from the point of this team has been picked, this captain has been picked. What of the immediate future? And in the immediate future, these are the problems that I see. And unlike
True.
when you speak as a fan, when you speak from an analytical point of view, you're looking more at these things, right? So
Prem, I agree with all the points that you just made about the technical flaws and the fact that there's been a poor run of form from Shubman Gill. He's not really performed overseas. Take all that on board. No captain is going into a captaincy, a test captaincy, having such low numbers. But I think that you also have to look at the fact that uh, uh, Pant as well as Shubman Gill, the leadership team now that's going to take them to England, have been there before and done it, and not as leaders, but they have, in a sense, taken over the leadership and the thinking, the audacity that they brought, to the team. Something that wasn't there before. There was always a safety first. If you look at most of the captains who led before and most of the seniors who were part of the team before, but with Gill and with Pant and also with Bumrah, of course, being in the mix of leadership, I think there will be a sense of freedom because they don't have nothing to lose. Even if they were to do badly on this tour and maybe come back with a 2-0, 3-0, or I don't know if it can be a 3-1 defeat, it would still be very good if Gill is able to kind of meld this team together, put them together, and create, a good unit. And there's no stories or no, infighting in the team because, you have to realize you're going in with a coach who who has been a very successful batsman himself. We had that problem when Greg Chappell, a man of stature, took over the Indian team, and there were issues. There were, personality issues. My worry is that if that doesn't happen over here, I think Gill should be able to take over smoothly. And I was mentioning earlier that I saw an interview of Rohit Sharma where Rohit Sharma speaks about how when he took over the captaincy, he had a very honest conversation with Rahul Dravid, who was the coach of the team at that time, and he said that, uh, "Look, I'm. This is your team. These are your boys. I'm just going to be here. I'm going to be helping you guys. I'm going to be sorting things for you. I'm going to be questioning you on your decisions, but you'll make the final decisions. And this is going to be always Rohit Sharma's team." And he said, I love that fact that he gave the responsibility to me. He took the back seat in a sense that he said, I will challenge you, I will question you on your decisions, on what you're doing, on moves that you make. But he said, I'm going to let you run the team. My worry is that will Gautam Gambhir do the same thing with Gill? Firstly, seeing that this is such an inexperienced side, I think the main battle, half the battle will be won if Gautam Gambhir lets Gill feel that this is his team. If Pant and Gill are part of the leadership, that they're able to take it forward. In fact, even if you see Gill's interview after he became captain, he's mentioned Rohit Sharma, he's mentioned Virat Kohli, and he's also mentioned R. Ashwin. And he said these three gentlemen have given us the blueprint of how we should conduct and how test teams are built and how we need to move forward as a test team. And that's a very telling thing, knowing that he's got a Gautam Gambhir who's not done too badly in test cricket himself and who's been there now with the team for almost 8 months. No mention of Gambhir. So, I think that the first battle will be getting the team management to buy into and be able to hand over the team to Gill to take it forward.
Yeah, and that is pretty much the point that I was driving at in my roundabout fashion. When I mentioned the problems that Gill will have, my thing is, see, speaking both as somebody who was both followed and reported on Indian cricket since I don't know, I mean, followed Indian cricket from the mid 70s, reported on Indian cricket from the mid 90s. Uh, at this point in time, given all the givens, looking at all the players we've lost in the recent past, looking at the fact that, by the way, India is not the number one test team today. So let's set
True.
expectations. India is number four. It's not even number two, it is number four. So, given all that, I actually wouldn't mind if India didn't do very well in this upcoming World Test Championship cycle, as long as the team starts to rebuild from the position of attrition that we are in at this point. Because I'm looking at the personnel and I'm saying almost certainly for the next test series, whichever it is, there will be one or two people who will leave this team. There will be others who come into this team. So this is a work in progress, and I'm happy to see the team play as well as they possibly can, irrespective of results. My worry is Gautam Gambhir equally willing to not worry too much about the results, to worry more about building a team, because he doesn't seem that kind of coach. He's more like very defensive when it comes to results and all of that. So yeah, if Gambhir can, keep his head calm and allow the team to find its feet, this could be a good thing. In any case, look, if you look at the players who have gone sooner or later, in fact, sooner than later, we had to lose them all. So we might as well lose them in
Correct.
a bunch and see what happens.
So when was the last time you think you've seen such an inexperienced team go in? Because my mind was going back right to 1996 and even before that to 1992. But you always had veterans in the team. Like 92, I think Azhar took, he was playing, he had five former captains in the team. 96, again, Azhar was the captain to England. But at that time, we found the genius of Rahul Dravid and Saurav Ganguly who came through. But still, there was a Sachin Tendulkar to guide them. This team, to my mind, I think in the last 30, 40 years would probably be the most inexperienced. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it is by a distance. I mean, I haven't seen a team this. I mean, if you think about it, the seniors are basically, I mean, I suppose one thing is, look, Gill, Dhoni, uh, and Virat Kohli all played 32 tests before they became captain. So I suppose you could
True.
call Gill a veteran in that sense. You have KL
Hmm.
Rahul, you have Karun Nair, who ironically lost his place when Virat Kohli was captain and has now come into the team now that Virat Kohli is not there. I'm not saying the two things are connected, but it's just one of those ironies of cricket. Then you have Jadeja,
Yeah,
who's been around the block quite a few times. And you have Bumrah, who's also played quite a bit of Test cricket. So, in terms of, and of course, Rishabh Pant. The
correct.
problem is, it is not that the entire team is young, it is that the batting unit, the top five, at least four of them are going to be very young players, still to establish themselves as top flight professionals at this level. For all the talent of
Correct.
Gill, Jaiswal, Sai Sudarshan, Abhimanyu Easwaran, all of that, and I don't see all four of them playing in any case. They're still establishing themselves. They are not established, and in that sense, yeah, this is the youngest and most inexperienced team that's going. Also, if you look at the bowling, Bumrah and Siraj are now, I suppose you could call them veterans in a sense. They've been through the wars together.
True.
They've backed each other. They know what each other can do. The rest of them are Shardul Thakur. I mean, he came in as Lord Shardul and all of that, and then lost his way, right?
Yeah.
Prasid Krishna coming back from injury. He hasn't established himself as a test bowler so far. Arshdeep Singh, again, young, relatively inexperienced, yet to establish themselves. So, yeah, there is a great deal of inexperience. That's also probably why Gambhir needs to be a bit of both. He needs to be a father figure and he also needs to get the hell out of the way of these young boys.
True. Yeah. But having spoken about that, what do you predict this series turning out into? What would be the scoreline you'll give today if you were to?
I wouldn't, yeah, because I think the way you play is also going to depend on a whole heap of other factors, right? You know pretty much what the England team is going to be, what the first 11 is going to be. You don't know what the pitches are going to be.
True.
You also don't know, and the county season being on. So all of that comes into play. You don't know what the weather is going to do. And in England, those two things matter a lot. The pitches, the weather, uh, team composition is probably third in my list of the thing. So until we see what kind of, because the pitches will also tell you something. It will tell you how England is looking at this particular team that has been selected and what it thinks its best chance of winning is. Do they think that, kind of batsman friendly wickets with their baseball stuff. And Ben Duckett is in good form, by the way. I mean, he's come back to good form, by the way.
Yeah.
So do they think that, or do they think that fast pitches with the combination of Wood and Archer is the way to go? We don't know any of those things yet, so I don't want to. It's not a matter of sticking my neck out so much as it makes very little sense to get into predictions until you see all the variables. And
That's
at this
true.
point, I'm
That's
not
true.
very sure of the not sure of the variables yet.
One thing sure of is given that baseball and the Indian team also, none of them really, other than KL Rahul, have the ability or rather the mood to stand and just buy time. They don't bat for time. They bat for runs. This which is really
Yeah.
a thing with this new Indian team. But my prediction would be that I don't see any of the games going into a draw unless there's been rain for 2 days or 3 days, because both of them play very, very, very aggressive cricket. Their batting will be very aggressive. They'll want to make runs. You'll probably see Ben Stokes give a surprising declaration randomly somewhere. I don't know if you heard that they've sacked their team analysts, two of them, because they said they're not going to bank so much on numbers. They're going to play more by instinct, and that's the New England team that they're looking at. So, the one thing that we can say is that it's not going to be like a 2-1 or a 1-1 result. It's going to be, I think there'll be a result in all 5 games, unless, of course, rain plays badly.
Yeah, I agree. I think this will be a result oriented match. Also, because the team compositions, as far as I can see, and we can talk about the England team in a future episode closer to the series.
Sure.
But even if you look at the Indian team, they are basically what would be the bowling lineup, for instance? I think for the first test match, you would have Bumrah. I think
Bumrah, Siraj.
Arshdeep, I think, yeah, Bumrah and Siraj for sure. I think Arshdeep Singh, if you're going in with three fast bowlers, it would probably be a good idea to have Arshdeep because he brings in the left arm quick. And by the way, he swings the ball both ways,
Yeah, which is
which
so
is
important.
always which is very important in England conditions. If you have that, you would probably have one of either Jadeja or Washington Sundar as your spin bowling all rounder, coming in at maybe number 7, and you would probably have Kuldeep Yadav as your spinner, as your
Yeah.
wicket-taking spinner. That's not a defensive bowling lineup. That's an attacking bowling lineup. I don't think these are
Yeah.
bowlers who bowl defensive lines and can bowl 10, 15 dry overs. They don't do that. So
Correct.
there is that,
And
and like
also
you
Mr.
said,
Reddy. That'd be Mr.
yeah,
Reddy, or maybe given that he's having a really bad IPL, and I know a lot of this goes by how the form in the IPL is, which is a bit sad. Uh, I think Shardul Thakur might be an option for him. I think that's the reason why they've taken Thakur. Firstly, because he
yeah,
can swing, and secondly, that he's a very, very dependable lower middle order batsman. He can really,
yeah,
really stay in there, and he's given some very interesting and safe saving. So that might be a toss up between the two of them.
yeah. So that would probably be your number 6 below the top 4 plus Pant, followed by seam bowling all rounder. And
Yeah,
like you said, it's basically between Nitish and Shardul. In which
Shardul.
case you are, yeah, in which case you probably want to lean toward Shardul a bit to let Nitish recover from the hangover of IPL.
Yeah,
Followed by, yeah, you would have a Jadeja at 7, followed by the 4 bowlers. That seems to me a nice balanced sort of lineup. Um, I keep thinking of how your batting is going to line up.
yeah,
If you have KL Rahul and Jaiswal opening, then you need one of either Sai Sudarshan or Karun Nair coming in at 3
yeah,
and Gill at 4, or the other way around. Gill coming in at 3 because he's batted 3 before.
yeah,
And either of, I don't see Abhimanyu Ishwaran making the cut in the first test match.
yeah. Even me, I think
Uh,
it'll be tough.
Yeah,
But
so
tell
it'll
me, if
have
you
to
were
be
to pick
between.
between Sai and if you were to pick between Sai and Karun Nair, who would you pick for number three or number four? Who would you go with? With somebody who's played this before, or would you throw a Sai into the mix?
I think I would do the look. If you're saying this is an experimental site and we want them to find their feet, then I would go with Sai. Why not? Uh, I mean, he is in very good form. His confidence is sky high. Granted, all of this is based on IPL performance, but then quite a few of these guys have been picked on IPL performance, so you can't hold
Correct.
that against Sai. I think I would go with Sai simply because of the confidence he is showing right now, and the fact that while watching him bat, one of the things, even if it is the IPL, one of the things you notice is that he's not hitting the he's not range hitting. He's actually playing the
Mm,
cover drives, the square cuts, the square drives,
yeah,
cricketing on drives. Uh,
correct.
Probably it's when he's taking balls outside off stump and playing to cow corner and over mid wicket is the only time when he's playing IPL shots. The rest of the time he's playing quite normal cricket,
Correct shots,
except that
yes. It's
he's
like watching Ajinkya
yeah
Rahane at the IPL. Such beautiful
yeah
shots which even go for sixes, pure timing, no power play.
yeah
It reminds me a lot of the left-handed Ajinkya Rahane.
yeah. And I noticed that he's not worried about pace and he's not worried about the short ball. By the way, he handles the short ball with a great deal of comfort, which he's going to need in this thing. If Sai doesn't come good in the first couple of games, maybe then time to bring in Karun. But
I would do it the other way around because Karun's been there, he's played, he also has a 300, in Test cricket. That means a lot when you go out to bat. I think whether you're out of form, you're in form, anyone who's got a 300 in Test cricket and it wasn't against a bad bowling attack, I would. And given the fact that Karun is not really your plan for the next 10 years or even your next 5 years, this is a horses for courses. Here's a good batsman in great form. Let's use him for this series. Maybe he'll do a great job, and then you move on because Sai has time on his side, but I don't know if Karun does. I would play Karun at three, and then maybe if Karun fails and he's not able to really make that impact back again on the highest stage, then maybe get in Sai, so the pressure is lesser on Sai. Uh, because I don't know what England will be planning. They know that they've got a young side. They will be intimidating them. The crowds will be overpowering. You've seen if they can get under the skin of Australian cricketers, Indians by that will not have it so easy, and it will be tough playing in front of English crowds. So I don't know. I would go with Karun Nair at three, and then I think Gill should be a perfect at number four because he is the mainstay of the team. And like Virat Kohli's batting really went up after he became the captain. Like it just went to another level after he took over the leadership. Maybe Gill could be working on the same principle. Otherwise, the numbers, like you're saying, belie and just completely defy logic as to why you would have him as the captain and not, like the many options that we looked at earlier, that maybe get Virat back for this series or ask Bumrah to take over. And then after two or three tests, if Bumrah wants to take, Shubman can easily fill back in and, take over the leadership because he is part of the leadership team.
yeah, I mean, if you want to make the case for Karun at three and Gill at four, then you could make it in two ways. One is Karun, besides the fact that he's been there, done that, he's played the county circuit for a bit. He knows English conditions. The other factor at number three, you want a batsman who, in case an early wicket falls, you want a batsman who's capable of building an innings, not
True.
necessarily hitting a four off the first ball. That would be the case
Correct.
for Karun at three. And Gill at four is a simple case to make. It is besides the fact that, of all the things that you were talking about, the best uh, on pure this thing, I suppose, yeah, one of the star batsmen with with the possibility of going on to do great things. The other thing is he won't be facing that many in swingers at number four.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Because with captaincy, I think the fact that at number three, you could be facing the second ball of the match, and at four, at least you have that comfort that you have to, really take over from what the top three have done
Yeah.
and then build an innings and build a total. I don't know. I would see him more comfortable at four. I think he'd do better at four.
Yeah, let's see. I think all of these decisions are going to be made on the basis of how the management wants to play its cricket. What is the attitude it wants to
True.
bring? Like, if you think of the Kohli era, for instance, a lot of the team composition was based on we want to play aggressive cricket. Like you said, we are looking to score runs. We're not looking to build innings and all that. And that dictated a lot of the choices that they made, like dropping Pujara in India, for instance, saying we don't want
Correct.
a long innings, things like that. So again, what is the team management thinking in terms of strategy? How do they want to fashion their cricketing mindset? That will probably dictate the top four. But one way or the other, it is Gill and Jaiswal are for sure. KL Rahul is for sure, and then it's a toss up between Sai and Karun Nair, I think, in the top four.
True. Correct. But I think other than KL Rahul, I think the mindset of aggressive cricket will continue because you look at Jaiswal, there's no stopping him. I mean, he will continue to
Yeah,
play the game that he plays at the top. Gill will, of course, continue to play the way he plays. I just hope he plays fewer loose shots that he does sometimes, that we saw in Australia and other places.
yeah,
But other than that, I think the mindset is usually of the players that we see, a punt is not going to hold back. So in that sense, I think it is a very aggressive mindset that you're going in with the top five, six batsmen that you have. Even Reddy, for that matter, is pretty aggressive. I think the way he bats and
yeah,
the way he goes on after he gets his iron. So the batting is aggressive. The thing is, you can't get over aggressive because Ben Stokes will not let that go by because that's where he'll smell his opportunity to get quick wickets and put India on
yeah,
the back foot. But having discussed all that, Prem, I think it's very important to discuss one man missing from this, and I really feel very sad about it. Shreyas Iyer, not in the mix at all. For me today, he's after Gill, after Rohit and Virat Kohli gone. I easily think he's amongst the top three batsmen India has today. I think in any format of the game, and him not making the cut, I'm a bit surprised. What are your thoughts?
yes, I'm surprised. In fact, when he wasn't picked in the India A team, I thought that is because he was a sure pick for the playing 11 or playing 11 or the squad, and that's why they're not sending him for India 11. But more to the point, I'm appalled by the sheer lack of clarity that is coming from the selectors and the management when it comes to Shreyas Iyer. What is their problem with him? I mean, I'm trying to be diplomatic and not get into the political problem that they possibly have with him. I'm fairly certain that people listening to will connect the dots. But I mean, this was Agarkar's comment, right? When he was asked about Shreyas Iyer, he said Shreyas Iyer had a good one day series. He played well in domestic as well, but right now there is no room in Test cricket. I'm sorry, if you've had a good domestic season, if you've played well in one day cricket, what more do you have to do to make room in Test cricket? What exactly are they looking for? You pick people who haven't played domestic. I
Yeah.
mean, when last did you see Gill and Jaiswal and Sai Sudarshan and all that playing domestic in the first place? KL Rahul, for that matter, none of them have played domestic in the recent past. This guy actually has. And by the way, he's a win. It's not like he just played. Uh, had a
Oh yeah.
great average in Ranji, uh, led his team to a win. What more does he have to do? Yeah? At the very least, what the selectors have to do is just stand up and say, we don't like him, we're not going to pick him. Because other than that, I can't see a single cricketing reason for why Shreyas Iyer is not part of this team. And think about
Yeah.
it, Shreyas Iyer would probably, I mean, if Gill was batting three, and I'm still not sure how Gill sees his own position, but if Gill is batting at three, then Shreyas Iyer is the number four I want.
Yeah. Yeah. Easily. They say, Prem, that when something is not logical, then it's political. I mean, that's
Yeah,
all. That's really the explanation I see here because I see Shreyas as a future leader. He's a selfless guy. He's shown that in the IPL. His leadership has been amazing. I mean, finally taking Punjab to the finals. I mean, to the final playoffs. I think it's a lot to do with his leadership and his man management. It's been amazing, and he's not obsessed about records, which is an amazing for an Indian leader and an Indian top batsman.
Yeah.
He's you remember that thing when he was batting with Shashank, and I think he was in the 90s, and he went
Yeah.
and told Shashank, if there's a ball to be hit, just hit it. Don't worry about giving me the strike so I can complete my 100. I mean, that was, for me, that was like a page turner in the way Indian batsmen play, and the way Indian leadership thinks. So for me, Shreyas Iyer would have been a thing. And he's done very well in domestic cricket also this year. He's
Exactly.
done well
Yeah.
in
That is
domestic
my
cricket.
point. I mean, he's a guy who in domestic cricket has led his team to wins in all three formats, which actually
Exactly.
shows his captaincy credentials. And he was the winning captain last year.
Exactly. And Prem, also, if you look
So,
at the World Cup in 2023, where India probably had one of the runs till the final, I mean, man was the backbone. He was the guy who scored more
yeah.
hundreds, and every time he came in, whatever the situation, he'd make sure India ended up with a good total or was scoring that one extra run to win the game. So, I mean, it's baffling how you can't have someone like that. Or are you saying that let Karun Nair go on this series and then we'll, take him back once Karun Nair fails or doesn't do well or whatever? But I mean, Abhimanyu could have waited and you could have had Shreyas Iyer, booted in if you're taking Sai, because Sai and Abhimanyu together are not going to play a test match. I mean, I'd be really surprised if that happens. It will mean that Jaiswal and Gill and Nair have all failed, is when
Yeah.
Abhishek and Sai will play together. So, I mean, Shreyas could have made it into the team. I'm very surprised about how that's happening. And I see him and Gill as two captains. So, sorry, just digressing a bit. So, I saw an interview of Gautam Gambhir. He's doing a lot these days. He's appearing everywhere he
Hmm.
can. He said it's very easy. I would love to have one captain for all three formats because easy to talk and plan and do everything. But then we are playing 10 months a year. So it becomes difficult for, one person to be playing all the formats, and which is the reason why we're going to have multiple captains. But if there was one or two who you could put your finger on and say this guy could make all three formats, it would easily be Shreyas first and then Gill
Yeah.
in that order.
Totally. Yeah. Like you said, look at the evening about all the reasons why he is probably not making it, but to reduce it to one sentence, it's what you said. There's no logic, therefore it has to be politics. And
Yeah.
I'm not even talking of internal team politics, I'm talking of politics, period.
Okay, before we land into any more serious waters, I think everyone has understood what we mean. So, moving
Yeah.
on. So,
Okay.
Prem, I think we're done with the English tour team selection, and of course, captain. We wish him well. I really, really have a lot of hopes on Pant and Gill taking Team India into a really, really exciting chapter. There will be some falls and there will be some mishaps, but I think that it's going to be a great phase to catalog, and of course, we'll be doing that through our podcast. But I wanted to know your thoughts on the IPL and what's happening with the IPL. It's 1 week break, and suddenly all the teams that are in the playoffs are losing one after the other. My particular worry is that Virat Kohli might slip again in his quest to win RCB a title, because you've seen the moment Hazelwood is not available to them, they are getting smashed for 200 runs and they are unable to capture that total. What are your thoughts? Has it really been that bad, the 1 week break?
I think it's not just about, by the way, Josh Hazelwood is coming to the RCB dressing room, so there is that,
Okay.
which basically means that he will play the next game. But I don't know. I think pitches have sort of suddenly, they were getting a bit tired with the heat and everything. That break seems to have refreshed them a bit because every team that's batting first is scoring 200 for fun. Chennai today scored
Even Chennai made
230.
230 today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
230. And what is interesting about the Chennai innings is that all three of them are replacement players, which tells you about what
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
problem was with Chennai in the first place, right? Uh,
True.
they picked the wrong players, went through the entire thing. Now that they have nothing to lose, they pick the right players they should have picked probably from the beginning. But anyway, I
I'm
mean,
baffled
I
that
don't know.
Mavis didn't play earlier. I mean, this guy is the next AB de Villiers. When he came on and Mumbai Indians picked him, he was supposed to be the next AB de Villiers. And you're
Yeah,
seeing the way he's batting. He's phenomenal, I think. I'm surprised they didn't pick him earlier.
yeah. Well, I mean, the entire Chennai team is a surprise, so let's not go with just one surprise. Uh, the but yeah, I mean, I think in some cases a lot of players who are playing very well seem to have lost a bit of momentum after that break. The
Yeah,
good thing is that there are at least one or two games. I mean, all the teams, I think, except for uh, yeah, I think the three of the four teams have at least one game more, and they're all in the top four
correct.
and very unlikely to this thing. So they have time to sort of step back and say, hey, wait, what the hell just happened, and find their feet again. Um,
True.
so yeah, we'll see. Gujarat Titans, I think, is the only one of the top four that finishes their engagements today. I
Correct.
think they
Yes.
would have played
Because now, I mean, we
14.
won't
Yeah,
know till the last game, till RCB plays its game on Tuesday. We won't know
yeah,
which are the top two sides.
yeah,
One day before Mumbai Indians and Punjab Kings play, which for me could be one of the potential final of the IPL. These are two top teams, and they are like they've peaked at the right time perfectly. And I think GT Gujarat has actually overpeaked. I think they peaked too soon. And now,
yeah,
if you look at Rashid Khan, it worries me to see the way they're taking him to the cleaners. I mean, he's just having such a bad time. I'm struggling to understand what has happened to him. I mean, have they sorted him out or has he lost his zing? It's just surprising to see the way he's being taken to the cleaners.
yeah. I think people have. I think one. I don't know. I mean, Rashid is probably the only one who can talk to this, but I don't think the ball is coming out of his hand the way it used to in previous IPLs, which basically means
Yeah,
that the opposing batsmen are saying, "Look, I mean, this guy is not as unpredictable or mysterious as he used to be," and they're going for him. GT,
true.
I think they have a bit of a good egg bad egg problem in that the top three are phenomenal. When you have
They don't have a
Sai,
middle
Gill,
order.
and yeah, the last game though, their
After
middle
Butler,
order
they're finished.
actually, yeah. But if you look at the last game that they played, not this one, the last game, the middle
Hmm.
order did get tested a bit, and they delivered. So I'm not yet sure if that was a flash in the pan, and whether today's performance is more indicative of what will happen. But yeah,
Yeah.
GT's game is actually built around that top three. I mean, if you have three players in the top five run getters, that's enormous. And I
Yeah, but
think
you know,
today
in the
is a rare.
playoffs, when the pressure is at its. Yeah, sorry, you were saying something?
No, I mean today just could be a rare collective failure of the top three. At least that's what
Yeah.
GT will be hoping. But yeah, lots
Yeah.
of ifs and
But the
buts.
middle order is Rutherford, uh, Shah Rukh Khan, and Rahul Tewatia. I think Tewatia's use by date is done. I mean, I hope he
Yeah,
proves me wrong with the playoffs, but I think that can't be a middle order. When Rahul
no, it
Tewatia
can't.
started, he was the lower middle order. He was the guy who'd come in when everything was lost and he would be the six hitting guy who'd take them, across. But
Yeah,
him in the middle order like that is I mean, they really need to look at that. I think GT is really in trouble. GT and RCB are the two teams that are really looking very, very tentative right now. Mumbai Indians is looking like they're really peaking beautifully. If you saw the last match,
yeah,
every 2, 3 overs was, taking over and being the champion and saying that I'll win this for the team. Whether it was Surya's knock or it was the bowlers, everyone who was coming on was picking wickets. Even Santner did so well. I think Mumbai
yeah.
Indians right now is on fire, and so is Punjab. These two teams are just phenomenal. They have a great top, and the middle order also just doesn't seem to end. There's someone always coming up.
Yeah, the sad part will be if Mumbai Indians and Punjab Kings have to play each other in an eliminator.
Yeah, that'll be
Because,
sad because they
yeah,
both are worthy finalists.
yeah. Anyway, we'll see
And
how
you
it
remember how Danny
comes out.
Morrison, Prem, at the start when he came on our podcast, out of the blue mentioned Punjab Kings, and I was like, maybe he's just covering too many of their games, which is why he's saying that. But
Yeah,
what a reader of
yeah,
the
he
game.
was
I
right.
mean, early on he predicted that they're going to do something special this time, and wow, they have. So,
Yeah,
Danny, this one's for you. Great call.
yeah, great call. Yeah, and that seems like a good note to end this one. As always, guys, your comments, please, and also if you like what we're doing, subscribe, hit the bell icon, do all the good things. And we'll see you next week this time if nothing dramatic happens in between, or maybe we'll see you in the middle of the week. That's why we keep telling you to hit the bell icon so you know when we drop an episode.
Do that. Thank you, Prem.
Thanks,
Thank
Faisal.
you,
See
everyone, for
you
watching.
on the next one. Yeah.
Hit a long way. Out on the run is Larry.